least we have a live stream of nothing right now. Let's see what we got. We're supposed to be doing a radio show here, but we have issues. Let's try again. Yes, I'm logged into the studio, but it's not letting me call in.
We're experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by.
I have the studio up, but I can't see you on it. Hey, Sarah, we're having a glitch right now. I'm trying to get logged onto the show.
Hello?
Oh, Siri wants to help.
Siri's trying.
Sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Could you please repeat it?
We're still trying. Just not let me call in. It's not doing anything. Hey, we're trying, folks. Trying to get this show logged up, but we had a glitch. They changed all the passwords. Didn't tell me until 2 minutes before the show. Now it's not letting me call in to start the show. We're going to keep on trying here. That's how we do it. No, nothing's working. I don't know. This is the first time it has not worked like this. We're still trying, folks. It says we have a show. It says the show's running, but none of us have a way to call into it.
It started without us.
And it has me holding that I can listen to the show, but it doesn't show my number up. Let's try again. Still working on it, folks. I did, but it would not show my number up.
If Becca got in before you did, she might have logged in as the host. That's what I did that one time.
No.
No? Okay.
We're trying to get it to work, folks. We're still trying. We have a glitch in the system. But if I can't get anybody that can call in, it doesn't make for a radio show. And I'm not looking to do just a blog, just a monologue today. I've got a lot of people I want to talk to, but got to get y'all to be able to call in. Well, going once. I'm going to give it one more try on both numbers, and then I guess this was not meant to happen today. We'll see. One more time. Last call. Host call in. It's just not even ringing. No connection. Okay, we'll try to call in as a guest. Gotta love it. I know I'm streaming, folks. I'm preparing for there to be a show to actually work here. However, without the radio show, we don't have a radio show. And like I said, I could do a monologue, but I find that is not what this purpose of this show is all about. So let's try one more time as a guest.
We literally have 15 people.
That's great. I can't see them, and they can see me looking at nothing.
Darn it.
Not even nothing.
No,
It doesn't ring. It doesn't do anything. It did one time. It said we're having technical difficulties,
I heard
network difficulties, but it's not even. Bobby's trying to call me from the show to my line, but that's not working either. All right. Well, sorry, folks. I wanted to do a show today, but I just don't see how. It's not working. So we will do it again next week. I apologize. Got a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of things happening. Hopefully next week we can all be here and this thing will work. All right. Well, I could, you know what? I'll just do some basic updates. We'll just do a show without a show. How about that?
Do it.
You can't call me, but I can talk.
That's right.
We'll just talk for a minute. A lot of things happening. We just set out our first press release for the Walk for Change. So that's all happening. this is really kind of screwy because I have a whole way I do this. So now I'm just talking into a blank computer screen and looking at a couple of people on the YouTube feed. So let's see. I wanted to talk about a couple of things. One is, we got this great organization, the Human Solution International. And I just want to, make a comment. I've done this many, many times about people and action and inaction and what we do and what we don't do. And they have what they call the 80-20 rule. It's just something that somebody noticed at one point. And how that goes is that, generally speaking, in most scenarios, most situations in your life, 20% of your effort will accomplish 80% of the things that you accomplish. And it's very much that way in volunteer activism. It's actually probably more like a 10-90 rule. And I see somebody called in. I don't know how that happened. It won't let me call in. So I don't know how that's working out.
Yeah, Dana said he couldn't call in. So.
Yeah, well, like I said, I can't call in, so I can't be a host. But anyways, we'll just keep talking. Yep. So anyways, that this 80-20 rule is, or in my opinion, it's a 10-90 rule. It works like this. 10% of your effort accomplishes 90% of your actions. And in a group setting, again, it's probably a 5-95 rule. You get out of 100 people that come together and say they're going to do something, 5 of them will. And the other 95 will do something else, or maybe do this much, or say why they can't do it, or be indecisive and can't figure out what they're going to do. It's always that way. And I've been in, I don't know how many different group settings, not just with the Human Solution, but with other nonprofits and other efforts that I've done. And it's always the same. We call ourselves the Fabulous Five, the whatever. There's 4 or 5 people that generally get everything done. And with the Human Solution, we've grown to the place where we have more than that. But it's really frustrating for me because, we have such talent, such amazing people. And most of the people that are the talented ones, even people that are here, answer that. That's Bobby. I'm now doing a monologue and people are calling. They just don't do much besides show up and talk. And I just want to really highlight those people that are actually out there getting some stuff done. And we have probably the biggest active group of people today that I've ever had. And I'm really proud of it. At the same time, I've still got a whole bunch of people that show up, make calls, come over, do things, but they don't contribute. And I just can't help but wonder what this would be like if 50% of the people that said, I care, actually showed up and participated. I think it would be an amazing thing. How do we participate? Well, we can write an article. We can be a part of something. We can help plan, strategize, show up, put an event together, do something that is productive, and reach outside yourself. We always can push harder. We can always do a little bit more. There's a technique that some of these motivational speakers will do, and they say, all right, reach up as high as you can. And you reach up as high as you can. You say, now reach up a little higher. And guess what? You can every single time, and do it again. And you can keep doing it again and again and again. And guess what? We all can do a little more if we decided we wanted to. And then I think to myself, I go, you know what? We all do what we want to, and don't think it's not that way. It really is. Mm-hmm. We do what we want to. If we want to show up and actually be active and get something done and contribute to everything that we do, we will. And if we want to show up and say, well, I had this, or, I have this thing that keeps me from it, or that, or the other thing, we will do that. So look around and take note of what you do and don't do. make note of what you say and do, or what you say and don't do. Those are what you want. And I think to myself, I want to create a world where we don't have to worry about getting locked up for pot anymore, regardless of what some laws are or not. I don't want pot to be a crime anymore. I really don't. And, you know, in California, we have raid after raid after raid after raid, and we're legal. And it's all raids on illegal pot. Well, guess what? Nobody's raising their hands about it because the media covers it as illegal. And we're going, well, you know, that license place, I get hit up by a license place once a week. Mm-hmm. Somebody's got a license and they want to work with me in some way, shape, or form. And I think to myself, well, that's great. You want to help me in prohibition? And guess what? None of them do. Not one. Not ever. Mm-hmm. And it's troubling. And I have people that, you know, a lot of yes people. A lot of people are like, yeah. And then I'm like, okay, great. Contribute something. And it gets quiet real quick. And it's just the way it is. And I don't think it has to be that way. I don't think it should be that way. And I'm frankly getting sick of it being that way. And I'm looking at, you know, I get people, I got one right here. What can we do? Well, of course, what can we do? You know what we can do? We can show up when we say there's something to show up for. We can write a friggin' article about something that's important to you and submit it to us. Go on our website and contribute some, you know, some thoughts, some comments, some ideas. There's so many things that we can do. What do we do when we want to accomplish something more than anything in the world? We get creative. We start thinking about what we can do. Okay? We don't sit around waiting for somebody to tell us what to do. We get out there and say, hey, I'm here and I want to help and I want to do something. And I say, okay, great. Show up on this call. Show up on this call. And don't just sit there, but contribute, participate. Say, you know what, I actually want to help. What can I do to make that happen? And trust me, we have ways for that to happen, okay? It's just that way. And I know it's always going to be the same secondary people that help some and don't help some and do what they can and all of that. They're the ones that are going to say, yeah. And, you know, there's going to be somebody that says, fuck you, because, you know, I'm doing everything I can do. And there's going to be somebody saying, well, I'm sick and I can't do anything. And there's going to be somebody that says, wow, you know what, maybe you're right. Maybe I can help. Well, that's who I'm here to talk to, is you. I'm here to talk to you, the one that actually says, yeah, I actually do want to do something a little bit more, because we're working on a big, gigantic program. We're working with some new people. We're working with some new groups. We're working with not that same old toxic sludge pit that lives in Facebook. Not saying that there's not good people in Facebook, but there's a lot of just negativity in Facebook that makes it difficult to use as a platform to organize people. And it can. Sarah, you are doing amazing, and you're not who I'm talking about. I can tell you that right now. You are clearly one of that 5% that's doing 95% of the workload. And I wanted to talk about Sarah and Mike and the Kansas chapter and the people that have gotten together to do some work that we don't have to do. It's part of our mission, because our mission is a civil rights group, and we're here to educate and support. And you are right. We can always do more. We always can do more. You know, when you find out how much you can do is when you find yourself locked up and facing criminal charges, and you realize that if you don't do everything you can do, you're going to lose and find yourself in prison. That's when you find out what you're capable of. I know. I've been there. I've done that. And I know that when I was fighting my case, I was doing more than I am today. And I do a lot today, but I guarantee you it was my full-time job. It was all I did was fight for my own freedom. I wish the defendants that are fighting today, not all of them, but I wish every defendant that was fighting today was fighting a little harder. And not that they're not fighting hard. I'm just saying I wish they were fighting harder, because we would always get more. We always would get more. And when we push a little harder, we always get a little bit more. We always find what we're made of when we push ourselves to an uncomfortable place, to the hardest place we can. You know, those people that are remarkable, those people that are amazing, those people that you just look back and you go, how the hell did he do that? Those are the people that push themselves to the breaking point, and then they keep pushing. And you come to find out that the human spirit is invincible. There's nothing we can't do. There is nothing we can't do if we set our minds to it. So I say to myself again, why are we so okay with prohibition? Why are we so okay with, oh, well, we better tax and regulate it? Oh, well, FDA better be involved. You know how many people die because of FDA-approved compounds every single day? A lot. You know how many people die from pot every day? Oh, yeah, none. It's just that way. I guess this is a cup of sparkling water day today, not a cup of Joe. I'd like it to be a cup of Joe. There is some coffee in the refrigerator that I would love to drink. Anyways, you know, that's the deal. You know, we all have our challenges. We all have our things that keep us from doing things. But you know what? I'm just telling you, I know humanity. I know people. I know that if we decided to make this a little more important, it would be a little more important. I'm just saying. I just know it. I've seen it. And I'm not saying these things so that I'm putting anybody down. I'm saying this thing trying to raise somebody up just a teeny little bit. And I have watched it happen. I've watched people that were sitting around bitching and whining and moaning. All of a sudden, something snapped them into gear, and all of a sudden they became a partner. They became a contributing part of a project that we're doing. Human Solution International is always working on a number of different projects. Well, one of them we're working right now is the Walk for Change. We have a website up that's walk4change.us. I don't know if you've been there, but go in there, take a look. It's a website specifically for this event that's going to start next June and go all the way till we get to Washington, D.C. from California. It's a big old event, and there's a lot of help that we need in a lot of ways. And it's not just a GoFundMe fundraiser. It's logistics, it's messaging, it's sponsorship, it's coordinating events and speakers and support vehicles, and it's all of these things together. It's working on the website, it's social media, it's all of those things. And yeah, we all need to learn how to read. Yes, I agree. I believe that we should take some time and get onto the THSI MTL website and start reading some of the pages, because we've got a lot of really good ones. And, you know, it's not just on Facebook. Another thing that we want to think maybe about is, where are we putting our energy? You know, where are we putting our energy? I know when I get out there and get some work done, and I watch every single one of us, when we start to get something done, it happens every time. These demons come up out of the woodwork, and they try to cause problems and say, well, why are you helping this person? Why are you doing this? Why are you whatever? And I watch it happen. Sarah and Mike out in Kansas, they get out there and they started doing some great work. They're working with Lisa Sublett in Bleeding, Kansas, and they're getting out there and they're approaching their elected officials. They're getting out there and supporting Jennifer Hess and some of the other defendants. They're out there this last weekend rebuilding a friggin' house with money that we raised and that she raised, and they brought together a work team and they pounded it out, and they are making this house so that she can get her kids back.
That's doing something.
And that's work, and that's a real deal, okay? And we talked about it. We talked about it on the radio. We talked about what's going on. You know who contributed? I contributed. Mm-hmm. And a couple of other people contributed. And it's the same 4 people that keep contributing. And Mike and Sarah put in, I don't know how many hours of hard work. And if you've ever worked on a house, it's some real work, okay? And these guys are out there hammering it. They would be on the show right now if we were actually having a show rather than just the yapping show. But I'm going to tell you, that's what's going on, okay? So what happens as soon as they show up? As soon as they show up to help out, what happens? One of these little demons pops up out of nowhere and starts causing problems.
Mm-hmm.
Started causing problems,
Yeah.
saying, well, do you know what Joe did? Or do you know what
Oh.
that person did? Or do you know what that person did? Well, guess what? What are you doing to help? That's what I want to know. You know, last week I was going to talk about this, but I didn't get a chance. So I'm doing this show, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about this walk for change. We're talking about participating. We're doing these conference calls. We're organizing this. And what do I get? I get a Facebook message behind the scenes. I think they were doing it on the show notes too. Why are you supporting that guy? Do you know what he did?
Yeah.
And I was like, really? You got enough energy to tell me about what somebody did, but not enough energy to do something to help. So you would rather that I not work with somebody who may have done something bad sometime in the past, rather than what? Oh, yeah. Keep going. Maybe work towards a goal and accomplish something, regardless of who did it. Now, I want to know, any of you guys that are perfect, raise your hand up, please. Who's never done anything wrong in your life?
Exactly.
Who's never done anything really wrong in your life? Like really fucked up, did something bad, hurt somebody, maybe yourself, maybe wrecked a family, maybe did something really bad. Any one of us not do that? Oh, I don't know. I have. I've made all kinds of horrible, stupid mistakes in my life. I guess I can't work with me.
Or me.
Okay? I mean, you know, I really want to know where these perfect people are that I can work with, because I know every single person I work with has some skeleton in their closet, something they did that was bad some time ago. Some of these things are horrible things. There are a lot of people that have had addiction problems and all of the horrors that come with that. There's people that have been in and out of abusive situations and probably been abusive. There's people that have done even worse things. People have committed crimes, and now they decide they want to help make the world better. What should we say? Well, sorry, you can't help because you did something horrible some time ago. Because you what? Because you might do it again? Well, you might do it again anyways.
So let's get the help from them.
So you know, I just want you guys to realize what goes on behind the scenes every time one of us or some of us are out there really accomplishing something. You know, you're making a difference because you get these assholes come up out of the woodwork and start accusing you of stuff. I say this to any of them when it happens. I say, come on the show. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about what's up. And because what I would do probably is say, well, why don't you help then? Since you're so perfect and they're so horrible, take their place. Come in and do the thing that they were going to do. Why don't we do that? Because I tell you what, the people that have helped me the most is a small number, and they all have issues. They all have things that they did in the past that they're probably not proud of and certainly aren't doing anymore. Every single one of them. I don't have a person that's actually helping me that is about to ascend into some higher plane.
We're human.
We're all walking the walk, feet on the ground, put our pants on just like everybody else. Regular folks trying to do extraordinary things.
Yep.
And we've all fucked our lives up along the way. And that's this process. You know, that's what life is all about, is struggling and overcoming. And what happens when you go through something really horrible and you get through it and you get past it, you become somebody who can now help somebody else through it. And that's what happens. It happens over and over again. You can spot those same problems and you can begin to mentor those kinds of people and help those kinds of people. It's just how it works. So I want to bring out these things because, hell, I can't bring up any guests to talk about your stuff. So I'll just let you know what I'm thinking about. You know, I've made ending prohibition an important part of my life. I'm not fighting for my freedom today. In fact, in last April, 5 years went by since they dropped my case, and the Fed's statute of limitation is over. And unless they start a new case on me, I'm not living in fear the same way I was. Am I still acting in a way that might be considered criminal? Maybe. I might just be. And here in California, where some people get to do some things if they have a piece of paper and others don't. Well, I don't find legitimacy in that. I don't act because a law says I can. I act because something is right or not, period. That's all. And if I get accused of a crime and it's a crime because the law is bad, I'm going to advocate against that law or advocate to change that law. And that's not the only answer. The answer is in our hearts, in our minds, in our will. The answer is in what are we willing to do? And frankly, not enough of us are willing to do enough, because here we are. We still live in a world where you can get locked up for having some plants. You can lose your children for having some plants. You can lose your job for having some plants. You can lose your freedom for having some plants. You can lose a spouse for having some plants. You can lose anything for having some plants because a law said so. And regardless of what your state says, our federal law hasn't changed one iota, hasn't changed one little teeny bit. And we haven't changed it. And yeah, there's all these things happening and all these people saying, well, they're gonna, and they're just about, and then they introduced and they talked about, and well, guess what? The Controlled Substances Act is still enacted and active, and it is still 100% illegal to have one pot plant. And the federal government doesn't give a damn. They have unlimited resources, unlimited funds, and they go after who they want to. And what do we do about it? Not a lot. Not a lot. Not enough.
Nothing.
So what if we all got together and decided, let's march across America and let's speak with one voice? What would be so wrong if we were to stand up for every single person that was fighting a case and make a big old stink about it? Maybe write some articles, maybe get some news coverage, maybe show up in support of those people. Well, there'd be some pushback. In Kansas, Jennifer Hess's case, they wouldn't let the supporters in the courtroom. They said the room was too small.
Oh.
Well, you know what? If I was there, probably would have found some way to get a news article written about that somehow, some way. But you know what? There was enough people there that the court knew. The court knew the community is supporting this. And it makes a difference. It makes a difference every single time. So that's something that I feel strongly about. I talk about just about every week. I'll continue to talk about. And it's something that, I know that if we put ourselves to this, we could get this. We could create this world where it's just not a crime anymore. And we got an attorney with a gag order on her now. And, that happens. My attorneys had gag orders on them. Guess what? We ourselves don't have a gag order on us. And that's something to understand. The courts like to threaten people and they like to make things happen. But what they do is they put a gag order on the attorneys, which means the attorneys can't speak to the press. If they do, they're in contempt, and they could be sanctioned. And they don't want us to talk. Attorneys generally want to control everything. But the problem with that is this, and I've seen it happen, and it's happened to me. It's happened with me. It's happened with people I've been around all the time. When you let your attorney control what's happening and that attorney fails and loses, you go to jail.
Not the attorney. And
they go back to work the next day.
They
go home to their partner or their dog or whatever they go home to, and it's just another day at work. Same with the judge. Same with the prosecutor. This is all just another day at work for these guys.
Yep,
we're the only ones fighting for our freedom. We're the only ones fighting for our lives. And generally, we don't act like it. Generally, we act scared. Generally, we act timid. Generally, we don't want to make any waves. Generally, I wonder, I welcome you guys I know there's a lot of new people probably watching this and doesn't know anything about who I am or what my case was all about. But there's a YouTube channel with my name on it. I think it's on the Human Solution YouTube channel, the one that you guys are on over there right now. And it has, I don't know, 100 or so videos about my trial and what was going on 30 days before it, during it, and after it. And it tells a complete story. And it'll show you what it's like when somebody actually gets out there and fights and gives it everything they've got. You can watch it. Yeah. Now, I know how many people have watched it, not a whole shitload. And I think to myself, really? You know, and I watch defendant after defendant after defendant call me up and say, can you help? Yes, I can help. I will help. Of course I'll help. But what we need is we need you to help us help you. Oh, you mean you can't just give me a lawyer? You mean you can't just hand me some money? No, can't do that. Oh, don't hear from most of them at that point. And then some of them say, yeah, I'm there. I'll help. Okay, great. Follow some direction. Get with this program. Come and participate. Get on the radio show. Tell us about what's going on. And I keep thinking to myself, one day one of them's going to get out there and friggin' put their own rally together and tell us what we can do to help them. Because that's what we're best at. Doesn't happen often. Happens a little bit. That's what will make a difference here. You know, we have had laws throughout our history that were bad, wrong, immoral, unjust laws that people have historically broken until they changed them. And all of the civil rights movement has been hinged on horrible laws that were defied both violently and non-violently. Well, I don't advocate violence. I advocate non-violence. I advocate peaceful protest. I advocate taking a stand and doing the right thing. That's what I advocate.
Look at alcohol.
I'm watching Hong Kong. You know, fuck alcohol. I'm watching Hong Kong. I'm watching now. Yes. It's starting 3 months later. It's getting a little violent. 3 months into it. These guys have gone out there and they have peacefully protested for 3 months. And I'm wondering, you know, the Arab Spring, there were millions of people out there. You got the yellow vests over in France. And what are we doing? We're wagging our fingers on Facebook. So I'm looking to talk to some people that have been over there, that know what's going on over there. I'm looking to learn from those people because, frankly, I want to bring what they're doing over here and bring some real protest over here. Bring some real activism over here. You know, we have sponsored events. We have little malls that pop up here and there, and you know, a couple of inspired people and a handful of people that'll, you know, participate. But what would happen if we had 1 million people, an actual 1 million people? What would happen? We would make some change. Our elected officials would realize what we want. We say, what do we want? And we say justice, and we say, when do we want it? We say now, but what does that mean? I know what it means. And that's what I'm here trying to advocate. I'm here trying to say we don't have to have a world where they can tell us that you can only have 6 plants. Right. Or you can't have any plants. Or you can have this much, but not that much. Or you can take it from here to there, but not from here to there. We hold these truths to be self-evident. That's what was said 250 years ago. That these inalienable rights were bestowed upon us by our Creator. The rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And they can't be taken away from us. They can't be taken away from us. And yet we give them up freely because we don't want to break a law. We let them pass laws that violate our inalienable rights. They have done it. They did it with every bad law that's ever been passed. When women weren't allowed to vote, guess what? Your inalienable rights were violated. Yep. When a black man couldn't marry a white woman, guess what? Your inalienable rights were violated. Over and over. It just keeps going on and on and on. And then when they tell us we can't grow a plant, really?
Everybody lays down.
We can't grow a plant. for our right to choose.
We
will vehemently fight for our right to end a life, but we will not fight for our right to save a life.
Right.
What is wrong with this? What is wrong with this? Why won't we fight for our right to save our life? Because cannabis saves a lot of people's lives. I watch it happen over and over and over again by the brave people that are willing to risk a loss of freedom by pursuing their happiness and exercising their liberty.
That would be me.
But they take a risk. And then I watch hundreds and hundreds of people that won't. I watch people that will die of cancer rather than risk going to jail. I don't understand that. It's fear. It's oppression. It's tyranny. And that's what we're supposed to be fighting against. That's what we're supposed to be fighting for, is our liberty, our freedom, our right to choose. And that's what this Walk for Change is about. So I'm encouraging you to participate. Come into that new website, walk4change.us. Or the Human Solution International, THSI.org. Participate, become a member. Hell, that would be wonderful. Why don't you officially become a part of the solution? That would be really great. Because we have a bunch of you that have, and we have a bunch of you that has 2 years ago and never did renew. Our memberships are good for a year. Be nice to have more people standing together in unity. I know what it will accomplish when we do it. I know what will happen when we do it. So anyways, I think that's about what I've got as a monologue. A 45-minute monologue is about what I have in me. Apparently, we've got a show that I could log into, but you know what? We're 10 minutes away from when the official hour was supposed to end, and I'm not going to do it. So anyhow, I appreciate y'all being here, and pop in, THSINTL.org, walk number 4, change.us, or jump into one of these new Facebook groups that are some of our new chapters. We have the Kansas chapter. We have Solidarity Over Separation. That's now a traveling chapter that's on its way. I don't know. I think they're I think they're in Tennessee, heading down to Florida right now. We have Creative Care Beacon chapter in Ohio with an active defendant couple that are running it. We have the Friendly Manitoba chapter up in Canada. You know, in Canada, we were just up there a month ago, not even that. And, you know, the same thing. They got a legalization up there, but no freedom. They got people getting locked up in Canada for pot right and left because they don't have their paperwork right. We have the Hope for Change and the End of Prohibition chapter in Missouri. And we have a big rally that's getting organized and getting ready to take place on October 19th. And that's also all over Facebook. And hopefully it's on our calendar. If not, hopefully it will be soon, October 19th. And I will be there, and I'll get to meet some of our people that have been doing the good work in the heartland in person, and I very much look forward to that. We have the headquarters chapter down here in Southern California. We're the ones that started it all down here. We have the Rock and Fire chapter in Central California, and we have the NorCal chapter up in NorCal. Those are the currently active chapters. There's about 40 of them that are in various stages of inactivity. However, it's never too late. You know, once you're a chapter, unless you've been dissolved, you're always a chapter. And we would love to see some of the chapters that have been sitting around not doing much decide, hey, how about now? Now's a great time. Now would be the time. That would be the best time to make a decision to become part of the solution, to start creating that world that you want to see, because we're the ones that are going to do it. It will not create itself. If left to its own devices, the world will fall into chaos, as it seems to be doing. If we change it, it has the ability and will change. So I encourage you to be a part of this, and I feel like I'm being repetitive. Next week, hopefully, we'll have a show, and y'all be able to join. And I apologize for the glitch. I don't know what caused it, but next week we will test drive a show before we put this one on and make sure that it's working. All right, we'll see y'all next week. Thanks for being here.
Bye, guys.